space, the final frontier. These are the voyages of the starship Enterprise. Its 5-year mission, to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life and new civilization, to boldly go where no man has gone before.
Greetings, salutations, and welcome to Retrek. I'm Captain Jim, and with me, of course, are Admiral Elliot.
Hi there.
And Dr. Squee.
Dragon, let's go.
And this week, we're here to talk about Wistlespeak, the latest episode of Discovery. But before we get to that, we have some Trek news and some Retrek news.
Shall we do the Trek news? Because that's a bit depressing.
Yeah, we'll do the depressing Trek news. So if you all
at the same time.
If you all remember when they rebooted Star Trek and the first J.J. Abrams film came out, yeah, that was 15 years ago today. So, yeah.
And we just got one banner for Retrek news. It's news we do.
So yeah, 15 years.
But what a film, that first one.
Oh, it's a great film.
I like all the Calvin ones, but that one pretty much a near damn perfect Star Trek film. Like it's up there even in the Star Trek films for me.
I'd agree. Yeah.
It's not a bad film. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's depressing that it's 15 years ago.
Yes, that's very depressing. Especially since, like, you know, we're still talking about, oh, are they going to do a fourth one? No, I suspect is the answer.
I think when they do another movie, they keep saying Star Trek 4 is coming out. I honestly don't think they'll get the cast for the right price because we're stupid enough to announce it before telling them.
Well, also, they would, by all accounts, they were trying to offer them 2009 money in 2020 or whenever it was last kind of like picked to them. And they won Hemsworth at 2009 money. It's like, do yourself give yourself a word.
And the thing is that the whole point of the reboot was like, it's a younger take on all the characters. Well, not anymore. It's not. It's 15 years since that one.
I mean, and don't get me wrong, I'd happily watch that cast as the later version. You know, put them into a classic episode, but, you know, rejig it, have some fun with it because you're in the alternate timeline. But yeah, it's.
I honestly think when they do Star Trek 4, it'll be actually rebooted, a new reboot of the movie.
Yeah, I think so. It'll just be something new, a different story. Yeah. But anyway.
Last thing which was mooted was that it was going to be
another prequel, wasn't it?
Yeah, another kind of the origins of the Federation. It's like right?
We'll see. Like we've said, we tend to avoid covering news about the new Star Trek film on the podcast because it just changes every 2 minutes, and there's that many, and there's no point speculating.
I think until there's something definite announced, there's no point talking about it, is there? Until we go.
I agree.
And I'd also say that it's like, I mean, it's fine. I don't mind I don't mind prequels, wherever you want to put it in the Star Trek universe. Do the plot first, then do where you're going to say.
Yes, that would be nice.
With Strange New Worlds, there was every reason, like the idea of Pike's Enterprise. Like, we know the Empress, but we don't know what it was like under him. We don't know what his adventures were. And they have done something different, but with the feeling of the original. Perfect. And
yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
But the more exciting news, or at least for us, we have got confirmation today, so this is hot off the press, that we will be bringing our live show when Trek goes wrong at the movies to Destination Trek in Blackpool this year.
Although if we ever take it up north, it's got to be when Trek go wrong at the movies. That's I think you've got the northern.
We could do that.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Well, is it 4,500 people attending already?
Something like that.
Just for our panel. Just for our panel. That's, I believe.
Yeah, they're all going to be. We don't know what we're up against yet. It's probably going to be a really good talk or something from the guests. But
that 5,000 people, don't cancel your tickets. We are coming. It's been confirmed now. You're all right.
Yeah, that's it. Exactly. And if you've been holding off on buying your tickets to see whether we were there, we are. We were going to be anyway, but we were just going to be going as punters. But now we're bringing the show.
Now we've actually got to go work.
and I've got to say, with kind of like the stuff we talked about after doing it, like I was so proud of the version we did at Sci-Fi Weekender. We're going to make it even better for the next one. Like
we are indeed.
It's the same show, but improved with kind of
we'll
like
tweak a few things.
Yeah, we will. And if you saw it at the weekend,
we might have a few more slides in, and we might have sound this time.
We might have
let's
sound.
say it. We removed some slides which didn't work. Like, you only know when it goes on stage really what works and what doesn't. So the second time, it's always better on a show.
And
so,
if you did see us at the weekend, please don't spoil the ending for anybody, because we think that's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So that is our news. We will bring you.
That was our solar system exclusive.
Yes, that's it.
Martians, Venusians, Jupiter, whatever they are. None of them had heard this before.
We're beaming this to the past for the new Star Trek prequel film. We're sending it to the future for Burnham. We're covering them all.
We are. And we will let you know more as and when we know more. I believe provisionally we're down for 11 o'clock Saturday morning on the second stage. So, but obviously that could change. So,
and
we will see you at Destination Trek.
Well, just one more on Destination Trek. I just want to give a shout out to a couple other kind of fan panels, which was one of which me and Jim are going to briefly pop up in. It's like favorite Trek, which is going to be a good laugh, which is also on the Saturday, I believe. We're just pitching our favorite episode. That's it. But everyone, like loads of people pitching their favorite episodes, should be a good time. And there's also a panel which I'm really excited about, which is neurodiverse in Trek. So they did a sort of one with the best Kirk Fu in Star Trek, like throughout the many iterations. And this one's about neurodiversity and kind of the allegories for that in Trek. So I think they're really exciting.
No, there's loads more to be announced as well. So keep your eye on the Destination Trek page for more and more announcements as we get closer to the time. But we are here to talk about Discovery and the latest episode, Wistlespeak, which the only thing I could think of was Arrested Development where he chips his tooth.
You did say that I could say my
You can go first. Yeah.
Right. Last Thursday morning, when I got up before work, I checked it and dropped on Paramount, and I read the description. And I didn't watch it till after work on Thursday. So I was worrying all day. I was like, oh my God.
I think I know where this review's going.
It's like you're the pre-warp society. You've got Captain Burnham has to save Tilly, who we know is overachieving and saving them. The young ensign, well, not an ensign anymore, but she was a young ensign overachieving at saving them. From a local tradition where she's going to get executed. Immediately, I thought, they're not doing justice. That's all I could think as soon as I read it, and I panicked all day. So what I will say about this episode, with no spoilers, I was really pleasantly surprised by it because it wasn't as bad as Justice.
And I bet... And if you think about it, very early doors, you get that confirmed because it's a place which doesn't have a lot of water, so no greenhouses are going to be involved.
That's true.
Like she might have to break the Prime Directive. Now we will come to that later.
I've got arguments with that.
I think the important words in it is Burnham is forced to consider breaking the Prime Directive. I think we will have a lot to say about the wording of that later.
Well, I would argue she doesn't, but that's another thing. I would argue she doesn't even have to contemplate it, but we'll get there.
We will get there. So we start with them testing the vial from last week, which was apparently a life form, but we covered that last week. Now, I will say with this, I really like the way this sequence is shot. They're in this lab and there's like strobe lighting and all sorts going on.
Yeah, they're hitting it with different light waves to try to see what it is. And
I just thought it was visually striking, this scene.
Visually striking, and also it's really nice to hear Burnham going, it's like, well, don't just think of it from this point of view. Think of it from every point of view, like historically, like all this kind of, and that's how they get to the water thing. I thought that was a really kind of nice bit.
Yeah,
science.
It did occur to me though that they're going, well, we've run this test and this test and this test, and I'm thinking, okay, it's water, but what planet is it from? Because there's lots of different planets, and that would have been the first thing that I'd have thought of, is to like, okay, where does it actually come from? Which is kind of how they get to it in the end. It just seemed really obvious to me that that's what you'd look into first, rather than just go.
It did give us a nice scene with what's his name? I always forget his name.
Damn it,
Rayner.
Rayner.
No, the direct. Kovic.
Yes.
And I always
Kovic
enjoyed seeing Kovic. I think he's not in it much, but I just like his character.
Yeah, he's great, and I like that he's got this weird quirk that he's got a 21st century legal pad now.
I wonder if
I genuinely, when you were saying the name, I couldn't think who that was. It's like I was Cronenberg.
No, I wonder if this is actually a real life quirk of Cronenberg's, that he doesn't like using computers to make his notes.
I could see it being,
and he still writes everything longhand on a notepad.
The only thing I would say, and this is kind of like a very much a Discovery kind of complaint, because like you guys say, love the fact they use a notepad, lovely quirk of his, but then they have to over-egg it by going, it's like, actually it's an original one from the 20s, this isn't replicated. It's like, what? And you're just using it to pass any note. Like, how many of these have you got? I know he's resourceful.
He's probably got loads.
Yeah, he probably has got loads.
Like, I mean, I know we're meant to guess from where, but it's like, still,
probably
such a supply. You can just go.
His family probably owned like a Staples or something, so he's got.
And they kept the whole thing. I mean,
it was
years later.
It was the last stationery shop to survive World War III, and it was always been in the Kovic family.
I don't know. Like,
I just wonder if this is a quirk of Cronenberg's.
It could be, yeah.
Put in, because he seems like the sort of. It does seem like the sort of man who would have that I don't do my notes on the computer and send you emails and all that. I write it down, and you'll have to check on the post-it board what I'm saying to you for today.
All that I agree with. It's just, again, like, I've got so much. I wipe my ass with it. That's how much of this I've got. Like, it's just
it's
egging it.
Travel.
Yeah.
Maybe,
right. Actually, I'll give you that. He probably might have
could be.
Time.
Yeah, probably before the end of the Time War, he probably thought, I'm going to have to travel back and get as much paper as I can now.
I'll mix it W.H. Smith's.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I will buy this time travel answer.
It might have gone back a bit.
Writers didn't think of that.
It might have gone back a bit further and gone to John Menzies and got all the closing down stock.
Could have been the works. He could have gone to the works. They're always having a closing down sale.
No,
but they never closed.
Sale.
They never closed down. Sorry, it's stock clearance. You're right.
Sale constantly.
And even
but then they just get the same crap back in again.
Yeah.
Although, and also, even though this is so far in the future, they haven't got paper anymore. Somehow, I will bet you W.H. Smith somehow still exists. I don't know how it exists now.
No, it's very overpriced. Unless they want to sponsor us, in which case we think W.H. Smith's is great.
I love you, Smiths. Yeah, just send us some legal pads.
Yeah, very good for magazines. Good selection of magazines in Smith's.
I know, but like, how are they running as a business? They charge more than anywhere else.
Because if one person buys one thing, then that keeps them going.
Yeah, maybe that's it. Yeah.
I once bought some cigarettes from a W.H. Smith, and they went, "Are you sure? We're really overpriced." And I was like,
"Maybe it's the honesty."
I was like, "Yeah, but I really want one, so I guess I'm gonna have to go for it." Anyway,
it's that thing that, like you're saying, how did they survive? But they have the huge range of magazines that you can't buy anymore.
Yeah, that's probably it. And the magazines are all sold at cover price. They don't mark up the magazines.
Yeah.
Anyway, join us next time for our economics podcast.
Smiths.
Culber, meanwhile, then, has got... Let me get this right. So he's got a hologram of his grandmother.
That's been read from his mind.
That is going to alleviate his grief.
But also pretends to have patience, even though he knows it's a hologram. Which and maybe he finds that oddly comforting. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, it's sort of explained that there's been some sort of mind scan done on him to extrapolate this hologram from his memories of his grandmother. So
it seems almost a bit ghoulish, really. I'm not sure I would want that, even if it was something that
if his grandmother had still been alive when they've gone missing, which is possible. And that. So he's missing her, so he doesn't see obviously she is dead because they jumped 1,000 years into the future. But during his lifetime in the 22nd century,
okay, that's not as weird then.
She won't have been dead, so they've extrapolated someone who he felt close to, who's still alive.
Yeah, okay.
That's
I've
how I
thought of
it
that way.
And I can see that has been quite comforting. Actually, in the circumstances they're in, that they've been taken from all the family.
Yeah, I'd not put two and two together in that way. I think you're right. It's not as macabre as I was thinking it was.
It's not like his dead grandma who died when he was 5-year-old that the memories from.
That's why I'd imagine what you're saying. I imagine they took everything from his brain scan and then they also did a deep search and it automatically searches all the information they can get from the database, hence her knowing about her replacing the food, which he didn't know about. So that all kind of tricks for me. It just, I don't know. Again, it's it's a minor detail, but for some reason, things like this really take me out of it. But it's why is she saying she's got patience? He knows what? Why would you program that? Is it weirdly comforting? Would you find that comforting to pretend like she's in her life from the past? I don't know. I was trying to think why you do that.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure. It's an interesting one. Anyway, I mean, this is all tying into Culber and his exploration of spirituality now, which it does feel like we're actually going to do something with that.
Shall we take that as a chunk as opposed to going back over the... Yeah, let's do that.
All 4 final episodes, we are going to cover this in massive detail.
Well, you see, this is the thing. I think this episode, on a rewatch, what I really noticed is it's got the elements of a really nice episode, but it's the way the amount it gives to what and the amount it doesn't give to something else. The Adira plotline comes to a head in this one, and there's wonderful scenes with her, and I think they play it really well, but you don't get really time to explore that as much as I feel like it needed to be. Whereas this one with Culber, which I don't mind the plot line, but it's he's always got to have a weird thing with Stammet, which I don't like because I love them as a couple. I love their little character moments. There's a bit where he visits him in sickbay and they give a little kiss just before they leave, and it just always gives me joy when I see them together. They're just such a great couple, and I like the fact they're opposite, but they've got this kind of place they meet in the middle, personality-wise. It's so well realized. I don't know why they've always got to try and create some sort of distance with them. In this one, it's it's because he explains it to Paul. Paul says, "Oh, why don't you just enjoy it?" Which I don't think is bad advice. He goes "Oh, the brain's a funny thing," and maybe he isn't getting on the same level spiritually that Culber is, but he gives no time to try and explain it. And then later he goes, "Well, I don't think he'll ever get it." It's well, try and explain it to him. You did nothing to explain it to him other than the initial statement. Do you see what I mean?
I see what you mean, but I quite liked the sort of the resolution to it where Buck's speaking to him and saying, it's okay that you have something that isn't shared with your partner. I thought that was a nice way of addressing it, because Culber seems to be worried that, if he doesn't understand my spiritual side, that's a problem. And Buck's well, no, it's not. That's a part of you. Not everything has to be. So I actually quite liked the resolution, and I thought it did reinforce the differences between Stamets and Culber, that when Stamets started looking into it, it was okay, so let's do all these scans and we'll work out what's happened to your brain. And he approached it from his field of expertise, whereas Culber's
but
no,
Culber asked him to do those
something
scans,
different. Yeah, he did, but I feel the way he was talking after he'd done it was, to Stamets' mind, it was, well, we've ruled out anything physical, so therefore that will comfort you. Whereas Culber's like, well, no, this is a feeling that I've got. So it did show that they just approach things differently. And I think Buck put his mind at rest at the end of the episode about it.
Maybe it's just the amount, because like last episode, he was talking about the fact that he wasn't sure about talking to Paul about this. In this episode, he has a conversation about him not being sure about Paul getting it. Then he has the conversation with Paul. And it's like, I would have just cut straight to it, because I don't think he's got an inability to talk to his husband. I think they've got a really great relationship. I get, like, in real life, you might have that conversation with a friend before you have the conversation with him. For time you've got in a 10-episode series, the amount of conversations you've got to get to the conversation, just cut those. Just, you don't need those. Just go straight to the conversation. And then it would feel like I would just say, and I would have thought then you've covered this story, you've kept that storyline alive in this, you've given it a couple of scenes here, but then you made space for Adira to have their crisis. Sorry.
Because Adira, we talked about it last week, how it was just sort of thrown up like, oh, don't worry about the spider thing, that wasn't your fault. We were, if we're honest, we were a little bit worried last week that this was going to become an ongoing saga. And I'm glad that it's not, and I'm glad that they used Rayner to just shoot it down, because Rayner basically is like, look, wasn't your fault, get over it, you're on the bridge, I need you doing work.
Yeah.
And I thought that was great use of Rayner's character.
He was great, and I think he should be quite punchy in his delivery, because he says a lot in a few words. He's really good at that. But I almost wanted to see them go wrong first before they then got corrected by him and went right. Like, they don't actually make any mistakes.
No, they get a little bit nervous, and then that's it.
But what's the cost of that? Why is he then going? It's like,
there isn't a cost.
Like, the doubt has to have a cost, surely, for it to be. Do you know what I mean? I don't know.
There isn't any dramatic weight to it. It's just Adira feels a bit unsure of themselves. Rayner has a word. They're fine.
Yes, that's what it felt like. Yes,
which.
That is exactly what happened.
Yeah, but it was a great story. Like that was a fun thing to do, but give it some time. In fact, that pairing I really enjoyed. I would have liked to have seen more of it. I would like some more time for that to breathe. To show what a great teacher is, and also to land the fact that where he's been uncertain before, he is really finding his niche as a teacher here. He's got rid of the responsibility of being captain, and he can go back to teaching, which he seems to really have a passion for. Maybe influence Tilly later with that, because she's going through a crisis.
He's having a very positive influence on this crew, or he certainly seems to be.
But he shows his doubt, but like they don't have after this. Just lovely to just one little scene with him and Burnham to say it's like, you know what, I actually feel really good. Like for the first time since I've been doing this commander stuff, I feel like I found what I'm contributing as a commander as opposed to a captain. But they don't land it. They don't give any time to land that.
Well, we've still got a few episodes to land Rayner's arc, but I'm glad that we've wrapped up Adira's little.
I didn't mean his whole arc. Yeah,
Rayner must be a good captain and good at communicating with crew, because he was made captain. He's good at. He's got to be good in some way with people.
Yeah.
To get results.
I feel like this is about his finding his joy, though, and like even though I don't need his whole arc to be wrapped up. It'd just been nice to have a moment where he recognised what happened there, what he enjoyed there, land that, a bit.
So we're dancing around the main plot, which we'll dig into a bit then. So
10-minute Tough Mudder. I've always wanted to see that in Star Trek.
We've kind of covered off the subplot. So when they trace the origins of the water, it's basically the Avatar planet, isn't it? It's Pandora. Like we've got this big, almost floating rock thing. It feels like we've got a bit of the B-roll VFX from Avatar. I'm not saying it doesn't look nice. It does. It just reminded me very much aesthetically of Pandora. But we're not looking for an obtainium. Instead, we've got to get inside a weather tower because we think that's where the clue is.
Can anyone explain to me? Right, we've had sort of adjacent reasons why Burnham has to go on missions before. Can you explain in any way why Burnham had to go on this mission?
Because she's a xenoanthropologist.
And they haven't got any others of those.
It's just... It's just getting tiring now. The captain has to go... Because they got away from this from the original series. When they went to Next Gen, they went, this is silly. The captain goes on every away mission. The command staff go on every away mission. And they've just forgotten them lessons.
Well, that's why you don't have time to give any time to the other crew members, because they never go on missions.
Yeah.
They never.
I think, though, to give it a storytelling not as in to make sense of it within the story, but I think because they're wanting to have these scenes with Rayner interacting with the crew and being a good commander, they need to have him there. I mean, the obvious way of doing it is, though, that Rayner could lead an away team and bond with the crew on an away team.
And he could have different members of crew with him on every away team, so we got to know them.
We could do that. We're not going to do
their different
that.
Specialities.
and it feels like like I was alluding to before, he would be a better fit because of the niche he's finding here. Like, we're obviously finding out he's a great teacher. Tilly's going through a crisis as a teacher.
Yeah,
those two things could go together nicely.
That would have been good. And yeah, Tilly's crisis, again, I presume a lot of this is just set up for the Academy series. Like, we get a little bit like, oh, I'm not sure, people keep leaving. And I presume that is to lay the groundwork of, Starfleet Academy is re-establishing itself in this time frame. And it's not...
They keep leaving because she keeps fucking off on missions and she's not
Could
there
be that.
to teach them.
Yeah, they've got they've got a substitute teacher back in who's actually a geography teacher. But
yeah.
I mean, when I did a bit of substitute teaching work, I got thrown in doing all sorts of stuff, like you're doing history today. I'm like, I haven't got a bloody clue. And
sorry, you're doing history today. That's you.
That's you. Yeah. But like the kids come up to you, because they don't know that you're not an history teacher. No. So they come up to you and go, so what about this? And you go, well, why don't you use this as an opportunity to develop your research skills and go find me the answer, which of course I know. But yeah, so yes, let's have a spin-off show, which is back at the Academy where they've got these trainee teachers who don't know what they're doing, and that's why Tilly's students are all leaving.
Yeah.
That's what I want to see now.
I wonder if they're setting Rayner up as actually being the teacher side, that he's going to be part of the Academy.
I'd be up for that.
And that's why they brought him in.
Oh, if they did that.
I'd be well up for that. We're keeping all as good characters for the Academy show, and we'll leave the ones we're not so bothered about behind in Discovery. So
they also had like in a previous episode, you also had that thing with Tilly and the other teacher who she was flirting with, which is now just dropped now. Like it's just the way they pick up and drop things, and
and what was
over concentrate on other things.
I can't remember if I said at the time, but what was weird about that is that they played Tilly as being all sort of giggly and, ooh, this boy might like me. Whereas previously we've seen Tilly to be very confident in that department. Like there's a scene back in season 1 where she's saying, oh, well, I'm into soldiers at the moment, but, I used to be in... and she's not this giggly waif who's... flustered by attention from someone else. She's quite a positive person about her sexuality, or that's how we've always portrayed her. But anyway,
in the first series episode, because there was the one with the time hops with Mud, and she grabs a beer from this guy when they're playing beer pong, downs it, kind of like very flirty, and she goes in the kitchen. She goes no, and it's like it's
Whereas now she's all... I mean, people do change, but it feels like we've just forgotten a character trait that we established there.
So we decided to change it for no reason.
So the whistle language, then, that gives the episode its title. Fine. just a bit of a gimmick.
I didn't mind the whistle thing, and I love the fact they explained a lot of pre kind of communication.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
It's something that isn't exclusive to here. Nice idea. The bit which I thought was weird was when they translated it and it's still in rhymes. It's like,
yes, that's what I was just going to say. That really annoyed me because I wrote down some of it. So it says, we travel from dust. So the first person is whistling, we travel from dust. And the response comes, come rest you must. We shelter from the storm. In here you'll be warm. So is the person who's whistling back thinking, shit, I've got to make that rhyme. I need to...
I imagine that because of the nature of it, because they do speak normally, that there's only a few phrases that they actually use with the whistle. So it's all the directions. So when you're heading towards the tower, it's like we travel from dust, so someone's sending back to you the answer to it, and you're following there. And I think it's
like a simplified code.
Yeah, I think it's that sort of like a good example. We all had to do French at school, I assume.
We did.
Yeah.
But I bet you don't remember half of what they said, but you can maybe remember how to say hello. Or you might have been taught a phrase, but you won't learn all the different bits of the language that you were taught. And this being an ancient language, obviously, and they've moved on from it, you've probably got a few certain phrases that they use, that the whistle.
Yeah, I will take that.
These whistles mean, this tune means that. This tune means that.
Yeah, I'll go with that. I'll go with it. It's a simplified language because it's a call and response. David says, greeting whistle speakers. Oh, hang on. We need to make it rhyme. Greetings.
We're here, speakers. So your intellect might be tweaked.
Nearly.
That's all right.
It'll do. It's good.
We're here. We're a bunch of nipple tweakers, David.
And join the retrekkers.
There you go.
Nearly. Again, I don't think we did a full rhyme. I think you both achieved a half rhyme there. I think you can work on your whistle speak.
I've got a plug-in.
David says that works, so that's fine. Thank you, David.
I like the idea that it's like a chant more than speech.
A call and response thing. Yes, but I like that. Thank you, Elliot.
When you translate it in a rhyme, it just still sounds so hokey. There's no way that on the screen it didn't sound cheesy and shit. I'm sorry, just
it's one of them where you're like, are they making it rhyme? They are.
You've got to imagine if it's rhyming, and it's part of a tradition as well that they give the call and they get the answer of where to go. That's become sort of a ritualized response to a ritualized call like you give out.
Yeah, your explanation is brilliant. It's better than the moment in the episode. It just doesn't work. Like, even if it was.
Are you listening, CBS? You could sign me.
Yeah, they could sign you to do footnotes for episodes, and it'd offset so much of the potential backlash.
And if you're not going to have time to set up what Elliot's just sort of brilliantly headcanoned, like just do it that they're all chanting it together. Then it would have been a nice little chant.
Then
that would have sounded a bit more natural. I think it just sounds so forced.
So they meet the woman with the very hoarse throat, and they decide, basically, they're going to cure her. And this is where they've obviously been watching June, because we get the sand cure, which makes everything go really trippy, which it's a choice. It happens in this episode. I'm not sure we needed it, but
I think I understand this as well.
Go on.
Because they're using the sound vibrations to make the dust come out of the lungs.
Right.
But sound vibrations, if you're in the place, are affecting your eardrums. And if your eardrums get messed with, you go dizzy.
True.
Which makes you sort of trippy things.
Yeah, no, I'm sure there's a reason for it. It just seemed a bit like, let's throw everything at the wall. Like, does this episode really need that?
It's one of them things like, this is another visually lovely shot,
Yeah.
And a bit like we had the visually lovely shot when they were examining the water. And it's almost like they've spent money on having visually lovely shots instead of spending money on having good writers.
Yeah, because this story is very Star Trek by numbers. Like let's do a really basic Prime Directive story.
It is, but there's been so many better ones.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, and I think there is a better episode crying to come out of it. Like, again, if you change the volumes of, like, this scene a little less, that scene a little more, we don't need this whistle bullshit. Really. Like, you know, when they're like emptying sand, all I can think is like bloody clever sand that it knows what's sand and knows what's other things within the human body. That's some clever sand right there.
It is clever sand.
And clever sound.
Yeah,
I've got to agree with you. It is almost like there's a good episode hidden in here.
There is, and there's many better episodes.
Maybe they could hire Snyder to come in and make it 2 hours.
Oh, the Zack Snyder cut of Wistlespeak. Yes, that's what we need.
And I think Jodie's right. In fact, like, just saying, like, New Game Best Cinematic Episode Awards. But I also kind of like felt with that, it's almost like, was it just me? Every now and again, I think Discovery's visuals are almost too good. Like, I kind of miss some set bits. Like, it's always outside and it's always kind of real world. I want a bit of set because it feels more Star Trek to me.
Discovery, apart from what it's done with spaceships, because it's shit at cinematic effects of spaceships.
Yes.
But visually, it's always looked really, really good.
It has.
It's always been really high up there, how it looks visually. But it doesn't always work just because it looks good. Like, look at the Klingons. The Klingons, if you had them as a different race, in the first season, if that had been a different race, if you called them something different,
it was
Klingons,
impressive makeup. Yeah,
it really worked visually. But when you call them Klingons, it fucked it.
I know what you're getting at, but the only thing I would say is, like, watching them back recently, because it's a full prosthetic face, it does not move. Like it's really hard for them to mold it. Like, that's a serious drawback of that costume generally.
But I think the point is that Discovery has always looked really good visually, and I think that is one of the things you can always say. Discovery has been the most visually stunning of the Star Trek shows, even though it hasn't always been the best written and best executed of the Star Trek.
Yeah, it's just got it has got an aesthetic to it. It's not necessarily one that I love or that I want for my Star Trek, but from a production standpoint, it's very impressive work, and it always has been. So we meet Rather then, who's really young and wants to get to the top of the mountain, but mysteriously, the dad doesn't want them to go to the top of the mountain for some reason, even though it's surely a good thing to go to the top of the mountain. And so we're dropping these fairly subtle hints that there may be a twist coming further along in the episode. Top of the mountain? There may be something untoward at the top of the mountain. And you also get the horse throat woman saying, "Oh, don't worry, you can still show that you love the gods even by not going to the top of the mountain. So don't feel you have to go to the top of the mountain." Yeah. It's almost as if there's something about
going to the top of the mountain. Go to the top of the mountain, save all your people, and pray to your gods is a bad thing.
Yeah.
Or can be a bad thing. It's almost like, if I like you, don't go.
Yes.
I hate my neighbour. You better know how to run, boy.
Yeah, you get right up there and give it some really good prayer, son.
I did kind of like just... and again, like we were talking about Trek by numbers, it's like, oh, Tilly's going through a crisis about students. She gets a student there to advise about kind of like, it must be so difficult for her dad. It's like, oh, for fuck's sake. Okay, yeah.
She gets a student proxy to stand in and show how good she can be. But it all goes a bit wrong for her, but we'll get there. There's a weird line where I think it is Rava who goes, "Oh, I've been really inspired by you two." Like, what have they done that's really inspiring? They've turned up with a woman with a funny throat, and then got all trippy with sand.
Yeah, and Burnham passed out because she stayed with her pat in the back.
What's
and in
so
every
inspiring?
step of the way, they don't know anything about the world. And I'm not saying like they explain away by saying, "Oh, do they not have that in the north of the world or whatever?" And they go, "Oh, no, we don't," or whatever. That's fine. I don't mind that. But then for her to be like you say, it's like, "I'm so inspired by you." What, the person who doesn't know how to read numbers in your and again, that's not insulting that. I'm just saying it's like that's even less inspiring. It's average. It's below average.
These two don't even know that you die when you get to the top of mountain. That's how rubbish these two are. Don't be inspired by that.
I'm always inspired by less than average people.
This takes me back to what I've just said. Is maybe thinking these two are really rubbish.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
These are really good sacrificial lambs.
Yeah, get these two sent up.
Run, girls.
Yeah, they don't even know what's coming. Yeah.
He's cheering them up. Yeah, you two are. Yes, go for it. Yes, you're awesome.
Oh, David's just sent us a question. We have discussed it a little bit, David, about Culber's spiritualism. I think we're going to see that play out. To be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if he goes off to be a space priest at the end.
I wouldn't be surprised if he goes off to be join the academy.
Oh, well, you think Culber in the academy as well?
Yeah, Culber is a spiritual academy. I think there's certain characters you can see who are getting a bit more screen time with things.
Yeah, he'll be the RE teacher.
And I wonder if they're going to be sort of brought into the academy. That it's like, no, we need these people. Because obviously we want to teach everyone things from 1,000 years ago.
Yeah, maybe
because
so.
We want to regress.
And just to catch up on what we were talking about before, David, basically what we were saying was like we're enjoying this journey with Culber, but like they're spending a long ass time just getting to the point where he actually even talks to Paul, let alone he goes on the journey. And like it's just it seems like too much is put in that when you could have been following the story.
That's another reason. That's another reason I think he may go to the academy.
Oh, if they don't wrap it up in Discovery, though, I'd be so annoyed just because don't do it like just this is a story in Discovery. You can't then just cut it off.
No, you certainly shouldn't do that.
Maybe we'll have in the final episode Stamets still dying. That's why Culber will go join the academy.
No, you are not allowed to bring those two apart, and they both died too many times. We've already done it.
That's true. Yeah. Well, it is Stamets' turn if they're taking it in turns, but
I just love them so much. So they really are. I think my favorite Discovery couple.
There is an Academy series coming, David. 2026.
They've only been teasing an Academy season. Is it actually 50 years this year? Was it first?
Oh, they've been talking about it forever.
No, I'm thinking it was actually first put forward in 1974.
It wouldn't surprise me.
So I've got a feeling it may be 50 years since the first sort of suggested an Academy series.
Although I would...
It's definitely was the 70s, so it's getting that way, even if it wasn't 50 years.
All I'm going to say is that I know this is the most it's been sort of promised so far. I was just watching, near the end of season 2 of Discovery, watching back, and it's like, it was the whole thing of Section 31 where they set up, I know we're getting it now, but it's like they set up a whole cast, basically. You had Ash, you had Leland.
Yeah.
And like, none of it, it's all gone. Like it's
We've got Strange New Worlds because that's what we wanted.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Academy's definitely happening. Alex Kurtzman had some interviews recently, and that is definitely the next one. Unless they make Legacy, but definitely the next one. We'll see.
Yeah. Unless they make Legacy.
So then the next twist to the tale then is they discover this is actually malfunctioning, the Rain Tower. Oh, and this is
awful.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't quite what I was going to say, but what I was going to say is you get this point where they decide, right, one of us has to fix that, one of us has to carry on with the race. And I'm in no way making any comment on Tilly's figure or level of fitness or anything like that. But of the two of them, you've got Tilly, who's the scientist, who's probably not in as good a shape as Michael. Then you've got Michael, who's less suited to the science task, but more suited to running. And instead they go the other way around.
We've had 4.5 seasons now that Michael does all the action.
Yeah. But then for no apparent reason, they go, oh no, Michael will stay there until he'll do the running. And it just seems odd. And it's clearly to position the characters where we want them to go. So we want Tilly in peril and we want Michael.
The strange thing about this as well is that they've had this tablet that makes them thirsty, and they've got to sort of not drink the water on the way in the race. Michael grew up on Vulcan. That's a desert world.
Yeah, good point.
And she's used to being in a hot environment with low water and still being able to function at a high
Yeah, you're right.
level.
Michael should have been straight up the mountain.
There was also this bit which you had in a previous episode, which, like, I like it when they set something up and it feels satisfying when they land it, but it now feels so forced that they had Tilly running in a previous episode and goes like, hey, All-Star Academy track meet. Like, what's something you've never mentioned before? That's kind of weird and out of place. And now it's like, oh, you just chuck that in. Like, you've just forced that in, as opposed to, as you guys have done, thinking about who logically would be best in that situation, who's best equipped, who's best physically. And again, like Jim's saying, it's not an insult to anyone's physicality that they might be better suited to one thing than another based on their physicality. It's just factual. Altitude sickness issues is very random, David.
Yeah, good point. It might, Michael may not have come back.
And you have taken a random alien tablet.
True.
But I would have thought that the first thing you do, though, is base it on, like, they don't, like, as if it is random, we've got no reason to believe that Tilly would be better than Michael.
Yeah.
No, and for the reasons Elliot outlined, Michael probably would be better because she should be more used to this sort of climate. But anyway, it's clearly so that we get to put Tilly in peril and we get to have Michael make the decision regarding the Prime Directive, which is fine.
Yes. Are we going on to Prime Directive?
We're nearly there because I just want to talk briefly about, you get that moment. And
I wonder if mine and Elliot's, because we're both obviously leaning something. I wonder if we've got the same thing. But I'll let Elliot go when we get there.
We get the moment. Michael goes to fix. Shall we do Michael fixes the
okay,
thing first? So Michael has stayed behind as the scientist to fix the thing. You know, the really physically excellent one has stayed behind as the scientist to fix the thing. And hasn't got a clue she has to phone Adira.
This is true, yeah.
And also, we don't see her actually get the thing, do we? Like, it just seems like they're on the ship and he goes, oh yeah, I found it with a note. It's like, so, like, again, like,
they found it because there was the moss because of radiation.
I actually quite liked that. I thought that was.
And some of the moss had died on a certain side, so it gave them a direction to where it was.
Yeah, I actually quite liked that.
I got why she found it.
No, not why she found it.
That.
I meant just seeing her find it, seeing her get the object and like get the note. Like they describe that later.
Oh no, I meant the control.
Oh, you mean the clue?
No, I'm talking about the control panel.
Oh, the finding of the clue happens completely off screen.
Which is fucking weird. Like, I'm sorry, but like the whole thing is finding these things, and you don't show them finding.
They do the Super Mario ending, like they go, you know, well done, Tilly, but your clue is in another castle. It's it turns out it's actually in like Tower number 5 or something, and they're in Tower number 3.
It's just.
But you do get Tilly's big teacher moment where it's like, oh, you can't complete it with an empty bowl. And Tilly goes, I'm going to be the good teacher. I'm going to go and share my bowl. And we'll have this really inspiring moment where we help each other across the finish line. And you've just condemned them to death. Well done, Tilly. Which he's a bit of a cruel slap in the face because Tilly did everything right. but it's actually a
you,
sacrifice.
I did enjoy this. This was a lovely little Star Trek moment. They help Tilly out, so Tilly helps them out. Like that.
Yes.
That's nice, lovely little moment. There's nothing wrong with that. And also it's nice that it leads to an unintentional consequence. It
is darkly comedic that it's actually a death sentence that they would have avoided.
Like when they got here and this is getting into this trade where it's the death sentence. I actually thought, when they're given the tablets at the start of the race, and if you look at Tilly's hand, you sort of see her go like that. And I thought she maybe palmed it.
Oh.
And that's why she was running better all the way through.
Oh, that would be good.
And I thought she was not to be discovered when they said that through a local tradition and she was facing peril of death. And I was thinking there that, she's palmed it. That's why she's running better than Burnham.
That would have been quite good.
Better. And she's been caught out right at the end.
That would have been a good twist, yeah. But instead we go with the sacrifice twist, which I think Strange New Worlds did better in their first season, where it was they had to sacrifice the kid.
Yeah, much better.
And then we'll talk about the Prime Directive then, because this reminds me very much of the TNG episode Who Watches the Watchers, where you have the people who are like, oh, so you're the Picard, you're the god, and Picard has to convince them, no, I'm not, and that is an all-time classic episode for my money. This is not. So Michael has to make the decision. Will we break the Prime Directive by revealing ourselves to this guy?
Right. Can we discuss the decision-making process?
Yes.
In what way did she have a decision-making process? She phones up Raider and goes, beam me in now. I'm going to save Tilly. Someone is there. They'll see you. I don't care. Beam me in now. Where was the decision process of breaking the Prime Directive?
I've got a thing about the Prime Directive as well, because like you say, there should have been the decision moment. You could have brought in Admiral Silver Daddy Bear, always welcome, and you could have a lovely scene where he holograms in, they have this conversation. But surely the main key argument here is the Denoblians were already there, already set up all this shit. So then the Prime Directive's already, they might have done but they've changed the course of the future of that.
But the species weren't aware that they'd done it.
But isn't part of the Prime Directive not to alter the course of evolution?
Supposedly,
they've already changed.
Yes, it is. But the Prime Directive has previously been broken in what the Denobians did.
Yeah,
but Michael is now breaking the Prime Directive to expose what the Denobians did. This society had no idea anything had been done.
I would say if you had that scene with ASDB and you had that kind of debate about the Prime Directive, she could have brought that in as a defense. It's like, well, the Denobians have already changed the course of their evolution because of that. Tilly's in this situation, so we're now just sort of course correcting. They could have at least had
you could argue that the Denobulans have done that, so we've got to fix it. But they do. David's got the answer though. It's a red directive. So red directive overrules Prime Directive. You can do whatever you like.
Is it only Michael who's aware that they're under a red? No, she's told all the crew.
She's told anyone who'll listen.
So if they're under a red directive and all the crew knows, so I assume Rainer is second in command knows, if that was reason giving the right to break the Prime Directive, he wouldn't have argued with her.
No, true.
My argument would be that you've got you've got the red directive. That's fine. If you want to use that, just do the same sort of thing as I was suggesting, but bring Cronenberg's character again. Have her instantly go to white space, and he goes, "You got the red directive. Go for it."
You can break that. We need Tilly alive to find the clue, so you're justified in whatever you do.
Hold on. Do we actually need Tilly alive to find the clue here?
No, we could have gone in after and just read the hieroglyphs. Yeah.
Okay, you end it by she goes to Cronenberg to make a case, and he goes, we call it the Red Directive because redhead is sacrificable. That's actually why.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
It's the Red Directive, not the Redhead Directive.
And then it's like, and now we're changing to the Brunette Directive, Michael.
And that gives us the perfect thing where Raina becomes the head of the Starfleet Academy.
Yeah.
I want to see more as much Raina as you can give me if he please say spins off into
it has got interesting things, the Red Directive. Does the Red Directive overrule the
Prime Directive? Yeah, I would guess.
If we only break in the Prime Directive to save one crew member, is that justified because you're meant to sacrifice yourself for the Prime Directive? As part of your Starfleet sort of oath?
Because all they would have had to have done was gone in after Tilly and the other person had died, read the clues, and then they could have fixed the machine without revealing themselves to the native population. This could have all been avoided.
Yeah, no harm, no foul.
And I suppose
they're happy to keep sacrificing everyone every couple of years.
I suppose they kind of justify it by saying, well,
the head of the Starfleet Academy.
Like, they sort of justify it saying, well, it needs maintaining. So I suppose the idea is we've told this one guy and him and his family will now become the custodians of repairing it without revealing that there's something else. And it does tie into the wider thing.
But will they keep up with the sacrifices? Because you can't beat a good sacrifice.
No, I think they're going to say we don't need the sacrifices now. They'll probably play it off as it's a miracle they survived.
Well, it did say, though, that we need the sacrifices because that stopped a war between our people.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe it'll be one of these where they'll revisit it in a few years and it's gone to hell because of this.
Yeah, let's still sacrifice a couple of people every year.
Well, you know what? Now that we've broken the Prime Directive and messed it all up, we'll let them worry about it. It'll be fine. They do, though, tie it into the idea of spirituality that we've got going on with Culber, in that you get the guy talks to Michael and says, well, does that mean there's no gods? And she says, well, no, there might be. It doesn't disprove it. You just know that we're there as well. And I like the idea that she's not shitting on his religion, you know.
And let's be fair, we know in Star Trek lore that the gods do exist. And to be fair, Michael should know, she should have been taught this, that there's the Great Koala.
Yes, you're right. They should know about that, yeah. But
I would actually like,
fair enough. From Michael's original timeline, she wouldn't have known about the Great Koala.
But by now, yeah.
But Lower Decks is now 800 years in the past.
Yeah.
So that should be all part of, we're going to Great Koala. That should be normal religious belief. We should all be worshipping to eucalyptus leaves, no messing about.
What I would love to see is actually, because, you know, in original Star Trek, we had the Great Bird of the Galaxy. I would like a Great Bird of the Galaxy versus the Great Koala of the Galaxy, like religious war.
Yeah, that'd be good.
I want one episode of Lower Decks where they have that, like, or maybe even a series would be great.
Can I just say one more thing on this Prime Directive?
Yeah.
When we have Tilly in the cave, who's dying, she's a proper Starfleet officer and she still doesn't break the Prime Directive. And she is going to do her duty and die. It's Michael who has the problem.
You're right. No, I agree. And she decides to break it very quickly.
Yeah. There's no consideration of decision process.
No.
Did I miss something? You're Dr. Squee?
You're lol. It means you're funny.
Oh, you're lol. Oh, sorry.
It was all about the Red Directive for killing redheads. And then it'll move to Drew next. The Brown Directive.
Thank you, David. Sorry, I went into a thing whereby, like, it annoys me when I type in "you're" too quickly and I type in the wrong one. So I was like, "What did?" how do I say that? How do I in like words do that wrong? Like, yeah, sorry. Thank you, David. That's very nice of you.
So that about wraps up the episode. Then we finish with a sting for next week, which will be we're bringing Maul and Locke back, which it took me a while to come round to them, but last week I was absolutely sold on them, so I'm looking forward to seeing Maul and Locke again next week.
I really like them, but they've been arrested. Why do we need them back? What is the purpose?
Oh, I still think they've got more. I mean, like, it would be a weird place to leave them where they've set them up now.
I want to see more. I want to see more of them, but how the story's progressed.
I don't think it's they're arrested. I think it's they know where they are.
No, it said that so had found them.
Oh, did they? No, it said it said they'd found them. But
and Cronenberg said that they haven't been able to get them yet because he said, "Is it an update on Locke and Mole?" No, it isn't. We haven't.
Yeah, I think we're off to capture them next week. So I think it'll have to be Michael and Buck who go on the mission to capture Mole and Locke.
Oh yeah, because they did have the bit at the end where it's like, what do you think you and Michael might get the back? Well, obviously they fucking will. Stop asking. Just do it.
Obviously they will.
I mean, and one thing I wanted to actually just give a shout out to, because you called it, Jim. We sort of mentioned the similarities between this and the Key to Time in Doctor Who. And I think it was you brought up the fact that that's got a quite unsatisfactory ending because they basically just replicate a chunk of the Key to Time. And they kind of they answer that in here. I think the writers have seen Key to Time. They've gone like,
quite possibly.
Well, we better establish that you can't just replicate pieces and put them in, because they try that. I sort of like when they just sneak in like cutting off dead ends where like people go, well, why can't you replicate it? Why can't you just do that? Well, they've answered it. That I just want to give them credit where it's due. They covered something well, and God knows they don't always. Sorry,
I think we're also, because I may be misremembering the Key to Time, but don't they just decide to destroy it at the end of that?
Yeah,
so that it doesn't fall into the wrong hands.
Yeah, they basically send it back out.
Yeah, I think that's where we're going with this. I think they're going to discover the technology, and Michael's going to unilaterally decide for everyone that it's too powerful, and
Although, actually, this is Discovery, remember? So, as part of her destroying it, she has to become a god herself and become one.
Of course, yeah. I mean, that goes without saying. Yeah, Michael becomes the koala.
Yeah.
Yes, that's it.
So, yeah, that's where we leave that episode then. We'll be back next week to talk about the next episode. What have we got? 3 left now? We're cracking through them.
4 more.
Oh,
4 more.
Sorry, we've also almost missed my favorite game now. Like I love in these episodes that you've got the kind of like they've established Let's Fly so much, and we've taken the piss out of it, but it's become like I'm looking for it every episode, and when she doesn't do it,
Let's Fly this week. She did not.
But I'm telling you, they've looked at our notes, because like they even have a moment where she goes like, let's get on with this, or whatever she says, like to go into the episode, and it's like, but you know what I mean? She was that close to saying it, and she's obviously setting up, and they're like, no, I'm going to piss off the retrek guys. I swear, she's just doing
they did. That's it.
I'll do it for you, sweet.
Yeah, so but I don't know what's wrong with me that I started enjoying her doing that. Why do I enjoy that? It's not healthy anymore.
So, for those of you keeping track, this week she did not say the thing. Last week she said the thing. David says, what's next on your weekly YouTube review after Discovery 5? We've talked about a couple of ideas. We thought about doing the largely naff 1-episode romantic storylines, just to visit a couple of them, like Aquiel and Melora and ones like that, but I'm not sure how long our patience will hold out.
Have we done a deep dive on the Candlefucker episode? Because I know we mentioned it when Trek goes wrong, but
we covered it briefly, but we haven't done a full episode.
That'd fall into a romantic episode.
That would have to be the finale of the
That's a beautiful romantic episode, as we all know. It's sweet.
So yeah, but we may have Prodigy to cover. We don't know, because we know that's out there, but they're still holding out on the English language release of it. But never mind.
Enterprise. No, if you mean Candlefucker, that's
Enterprise. We've done some Enterprise. We did the Temporal Cold War.
Oh yeah. What we do is, Dave, I think because you're new to our stream, so basically what we do is when there's new Trek, we cover that episodically. Otherwise, we go with themes. So like, there's been time travel. There's been was there a Q one?
We ended up covering Q when we covered Picard.
There you go. Rota Picard, Rota. Prodigy.
We had the long-running
Dominion War.
When we cover Lower Decks, we tend to choose another episode from one of the Easter eggs that's related into it.
And same thing with Prodigy, really.
Similar with Prodigy, we tend to do that. Think of an episode to go with it.
So yeah.
So we'll see.
But as David wasn't here at the start, should we finish by repeating our massive news?
Yes, we can repeat our massive Retrek news, which is
solar system breaking, world solar system, galaxy exclusive.
Through all time zones.
We will be bringing our stage show When Trek Goes Wrong at the Movies to Destination, which is the new name for Destination Trek, which is taking place this July in Blackpool. So we will be there.
26th to 28th?
26th to 28th. We're probably on the 27th.
Hearing at 11 a.m.
We believe so, but cards subject to change, obviously. So if you want to get in touch with us in the meantime, we're at RetrekPod on Twitter. We're retrekpod@gmail.com. You can check us out on all the socials, including Retrek Model Studios on YouTube, where Elliot is still hard at work on the Doomsday Machine.
Yeah, I got some primer on it. There's a video halfway through, but as you know, I was away last weekend partying, so things didn't get done. So there'll be a video out soon for an update on the Doomsday Machine. The 500 subscribers special, I never got a reply for asking for the address of who won. So it's going to be a call out on that, and if I don't get a reply, that will be respun because that must be won by somebody.
Oh, yeah, speaking of which, sorry, just reminded me, did anyone actually take home the copy of Nemesis that I left in your caravan? Because that was meant to be a prize.
Somebody did. Yeah, somebody got it from the Table of Wonders on Sunday morning. So,
there you go. So sorry, guys. It went out to like whoever won. Let me know. Remind me, because someone did come up to me, and I swore I'd get it. So I'll get something else for you. So if whoever is watching or sees me, just remind me, and I'll get you something. Get you something better.
Oh, it's David's birthday on the 25th. So yeah, get yourself down to Blackpool.
Yeah.
Come
join us. We'll get you a £1 burger.
£1 burger. There we go. That's your birthday.
I'll tell you what, look, we're flush. We'll get you £1 burger each. Go on. One will get a burger, one will get a fritter, one will get one of the other.
Yep, that works. And Dr. Squee, what have we got on the Dr. Squee show?
Well, it's quite funny, actually, because I actually really had to. This is the first time I have an interview where I had to stop myself from trying to explain the mycelial network from Discovery in it. And it'll make sense in a minute. Basically, it's I wanted to make sure I got his name right. Gareth Griffith Swain. He is from Fungi Foods. Last night, he won the episode of Channel 4's Aldi's Next Big Thing, which is about getting a product into... he's just got his product launched in 1,000 Aldi stores. And it's a mushroom, like dried lion's mane mushrooms, which anyone who kind of like knows anything about kind of Eastern medicine, really great for energy and for concentration. So really great for people with ADHD. It's something I use as a daily supplement already. But it's really hard because it kind of goes off really quickly. So he's got it in dried form. It's now available in Aldi. So like half the press is from Tuesday's thing. And I was like, can I steer this to say it's like, not only is that really cool, but something you might not know is actually they use it to power the Discovery, like, which I didn't do in the end, but so tempting because this guy was actually a microbiologist. He was he basically is Stamets of our time.
And you didn't. Oh, you should have tied it all in.
I wanted to, but I was like, I mean, this guy, like, so nice giving me his time. It's like he's just going to look confused.
I bet he was a fan.
I'm sure he was.
I bet if you're a mushroom guy, you're a Stamets guy.
I chickened out. All right. I just thought.
Anyway,
I've got to talk to a microceologist or whatever the correct term is.
We will be back next week then to talk about the next episode of Discovery. But until then, let's fly.
Let's fly, Dragon. Dragonfly.
Fascinating.
Got other people doing it in comments now. Let's fly.
Yes. We're going to make this such a thing.